functional movement screen, which will be a series of 9 tests. We're going to be checking for asymmetries, functional movement, and any deficiencies in the movements during these 9 tests to enhance his performance for this mountain bike race that's coming up in January, as well as reducing the risk of injury. So our first test will be a deep squat test. We're going to look at coordinated movement in the core as well as the upper and lower extremities, again looking for any of those asymmetries. We're going to see if his knees go below parallel and if he can keep the trunk upright and the arm and stick stabilized overhead. So he's going to hold the bar overhead, shoulder width apart, keeping the feet parallel facing the front, below the shoulders and hips. We're going to have him slowly come into a deep squat, as low as he can without any pain, and slowly come back up. As you can see, the bar was remaining overhead the entire time. So this next test is the hurdle step, where our client is going to test his ability to accelerate and change direction out on the field. We're going to be looking for alignment with the upper body as well as the knees and the pelvis all staying in a line, and using movement as compensation for that. So he is going to step up with his foot above knee line of the opposite leg, tap his heel and come back, and we're going to see how in line he stays. We'll start with the right leg. And now we'll do the left leg. Exercise is the trunk stability push-up, where we're going to have the client lay in a downward facing position ready to do a push-up. We're going to have the hands placed on either side of the head, and the goal of this exercise is to keep the body as stable as possible. So whenever you're ready, raise the body in one movement, keeping as much stability as you can. And lower. There was a little bit of movement, but in this exercise we'll be testing for hamstring flexibility as well as core stability. We're going to look for alignment in both legs, keeping the legs and remaining the legs as straight as possible. We're also going to keep our neutral ankle and straight alignment, again looking for that asymmetry, passing the joint line of the opposite knee. So in this exercise, we're going to have the client raise the left leg with the neutral ankle as far as he can comfortably, remaining that straight leg in both sides. So whenever you're ready. As you can see, he can go past the knee, so I'll have him slowly lower. There's a little bit of hip movement, but not enough to really be concerned about. Now we're going to try the opposite leg. Again, looking for that asymmetry. It looks like he can remain pretty straight. You can go ahead and lower. I would give this client a 3 on both sides. So in this next exercise, it's our shoulder mobility exercise, where we're going to test the mobility of the shoulder girdle, including the scapula and all the muscles and anatomy in the shoulder. We're going to also see how the spine and the ribs cage compensate for that shoulder girdle mobility. In this exercise, the client's going to place one hand in a fist in the middle of his back, and he's going to reach around to the top with the opposite hand and try to get the hands as close as they can. Go ahead. In 2 fists, we're going to see if it's within 1 hand length, that's going to be a score of a 3. If it's 1.5 hand lengths, would be a 2, and anything over 1.5 would be a 1. So you can remove the arms, and we'll test for the opposite side. So we'll be testing the left arm with the left arm over top. And again, we're looking for any asymmetry. As you can see, there's quite a bit of asymmetry. We would probably score this a 1 because it is well over 1.5 hand lengths for the left shoulder girdle. This next exercise is the inline lunge, where we're going to test the ability to decelerate or change directions. We're going to be watching for any asymmetry between the hip and ankle mobility, as well as his core stability in this exercise. We're going to hold the stick to the spine as he separates the feet and lowers one knee to the ground in a lunging movement, looking again for that alignment. So we'll put the right leg forward and we'll dip the left knee down to a lunge. And return the left foot. And opposite side for me. And return the foot. And that was our inline lunge. Test, we're going to test for spinal flexion clearing. We're going to have the client on all fours, on knees under the hips, parallel with the palms, which will be under the shoulders. And whenever the client is ready, we're going to have him rock the hips back to the heels and sit on the heels and bring the chest to the knees, reaching the arms as forward as possible. Again, looking for any asymmetry, any hitches in the movement, and any joint pain. Whenever you're ready. Exercise, we're going to do a spinal extension clearing, where we're going to have the patient lay face down on his mat with the hands underneath the shoulders, the feet relaxed, and whenever he's ready, he's going to push up to an extending position, again extending the spine, looking for any pain or discomfort. So whenever you're ready, and back up. Test rotary stability, again testing the core, balance, stability, and any control. We're going to do slow controlled movements. The object of this is to have the client on all fours with the hips and the knees in alignment, the shoulders and the wrists as well in alignment, and we're going to test the side of the arm that comes up. So on this exercise, we're going to have the client raise his left arm as well as his left leg, hold in a stable position, and then we're going to have him bring his knee and his elbow together and slowly extend one more time before lowering. So this one can be a little challenging whenever you're ready. And knee and elbow together. We're going to also have him do the right side. During this movement, I noticed the rocking of the hips for compensation. However, the stability seemed to be, the control seemed to be there. Stability would be something that we would work on. Balance seemed fairly good since the client did not fall to the ground. So let's test the opposite side and see if we come up with the same mobility over there. So there was definitely more control on the left side than the right. So we're going to have him do opposite leg with opposite arm this time, starting with the left arm, right leg. And opposite side. have the client reach hand to opposite shoulder, and what we're basically looking for is any pain or any asymmetry between the range of motion in both sides. So we'll have the right arm to the left shoulder and raise the elbow as far as comfortable. Okay, and lower. And now we'll have them do the opposite side and see if there's any differences. Okay. It seems like the left shoulder may have a little more hesitation.